public forum. Our next speaker will be Sharyn Berg. Please state your name for the record, ma'am, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Sharyn Berg. I live in Cantonment, Florida. And there was an article in the In Weekly, or on the In Weekly blog, and he said it was going to be brought up today. It may not be brought up to here today, but I still wanted to speak to, he made several allegations. Dr. Steward, the article was an interview with Dr. Steward, who was the former veterinarian at the shelter. And he made several allegations, including calling my group out by name, but he accused shelter staff of feeding me information. And then I started this, and also for them to be involved in a social media campaign to shut down his business. They're not involved in that at all. I paid $504 to get the information through a public information request. That's where I got my information. That's where I have my facts. The facts that I have stated online are that they are facts. 10 animals died while he was at the shelter through routine spay and neuter surgery. There were handfuls of other issues with his surgeries that had to be fixed by him and other vets. He does not have a license to operate. He doesn't have a business license in Santa Rosa, which doesn't affect you guys. And he also doesn't have a license for his clinic at on Stewart Street in Milton. But I wanted to be very clear that I did this on my own. I am co-founder of Escambia Animal Advocates. The shelter staff were not involved with me. And that's what he accused, and I'm the one that did it, not them. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. He talks about problems with the shelter staff. He blames the vet tech, Gail Sanders, for the death of the 3 animals. Again, he lost 10 animals in 3 months. I don't think Dr. Owen has lost 10 animals in the 4 years he's been doing this. Dr. Owen has been working with the same staff and the same facilities. Actually, he hasn't been working that long in the new surgery suite. So he's had lesser facilities to work with, and he did not have the same problems that Dr. Steward had. This is not an issue about staff incompetence, other than Dr. Steward was part of the staff, and he really should never have been hired. His resume has holes all over it. The only surgical reference on his resume are himself. He worked for a place in Brevard County, and he only worked there a week, where he killed 1 animal and then was let go or was asked to leave. And all these things I've been able to find out after he was hired, but the county should have been able to find out beforehand. My understanding is there's not an investigation into his hire. There's an investigation into his surgical or his veterinary skills and the animals he worked on, but not into his hire. And I have asked multiple times, and my biggest concern is, how do we keep this from happening again? Thank you.
Thank you. And Sharyn, you are aware that there is an investigation to determine the death of the animals that died? Is there ongoing investigations with?
Well, somebody's going to be reviewing his records. I don't know that the necropsy's been done on the animals. I don't believe so, but somebody was going to be reviewing the medical records.
Well, actually, we're going to bring in a third party from out of town, look at a vet that's actually going to review the information from a peer review. And I will tell you, Sharyn, I just haven't had time, but I will be sitting down with Tom and his staff and looking at the issues on the hiring. I haven't had time. So okay. All I can do is give you my word. I will address that as well.
That's great.
Okay.
I appreciate that very much.
All right. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Jan Papra. I apologize. Jan Papra.
I'm Jan Papra, 2008 Pinhide Drive, District 1. How are you, sir? I want to address the same issue. I want to address the problems.
Excuse me, Jan, can you repeat your name for the record again?
Jan Papra.
Papra.
P-A-P-R-A. I want to address the issue with Dr. Steward big time, and I think we have to look at this whole thing and investigate it one notch higher. Here's my point. If what they say about Dr. Stewart is true, he committed atrocities on the animals and to the residents of this county. From everything I can see by looking at this case, the accusations are totally credible. So the question is, I asked a very interesting question. Why was he there? Who hired this guy? He should not ever have entered that office. So a name came up, and it's, of course, Marylyn Wesley. Marylyn was on the hiring group, and this individual would work directly for her, and she would be his direct supervisor. So this was a long process. A lot of the applicants were rejected. This process took many more months than it normally would have. And why? And then after all that headache, why was this particular very strange individual selected? That really needs to be looked at. Now let's back up about a little less than a year. There was another major incident with the shelter director, somebody called Delphi Messenger. While she was the shelter director, some dogs in particular were taken in. They were pets, they had owners. The owners had called in and explained to the shelter that those dogs would be picked up when those people arrived. Instead of getting a live, loving family member, they were given a cadaver of their dead pet, who hours ago was healthy and safe. Delphi Messenger was canned. She lost her job. She is gone. Now, following this thread, who on earth put Delphi Messenger, another unqualified person, into that office? Well, who was on the hiring group? A name comes up, a very familiar name, Marylyn Wesley. And who was Delphi Messenger's direct supervisor? Marylyn Wesley. The next thing is the ASAC committee has been a turbulent committee for many years. Many of the people that regularly attended were very upset because we thought that the staffer supporting that committee refused to bring comments and objections that were raised at all the committee meetings to the county commissioners. Let me put a name on that. That was Marylyn Wesley. After a while, the public attendees at the meeting and some of the committee members stood up as a group and said, please get her out of here, make sure she has nothing to do with animals ever, or the people that have pets or are associated with animals. So connect the dots. There's one common thread here with just about every major atrocity that's happened at the shelter in the last year and a half or more. So as you look at this, please pay attention to the second level. If I may wrap, it's only a matter of a few words.
No, go ahead. We'll extend time.
It's only a matter of a few words. Don't be running around putting out 4-alarm fires when you're having lunch daily with the arsonist. Let's be reasonable here. Let's get to the root of the issue.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I don't have any comment of that other than the process. I would have said to our previous speaker that I don't support individually calling out any staff person's name or commissioner's name, but hopefully our administrator is looking into that process. There's nothing else in our public forum. To my fellow commissioners, we will start promptly at 2 o'clock. Public forum stands adjourned.